everyone, welcome to another video review. This is the Age of the Primes Superion, and well, he's kind of in pieces right now. So we're gonna go ahead and get him assembled, which so you've seen some bits and pieces, bits and bobs of this already. So starting with the torso here, what's this? His Silverbolt. Yeah, of course you've seen this in the Silverbolt video, but of course it's right here. Take this, you plug this guy on right here. You plug this bit right back here. You plug that on, peg that in right there, and this comes over top of it. So, and it comes down, and this will tab together like that. Then, of course, you take this chest piece and bring it up, and this will just peg into the front like that. And there you go. There's the torso, ready to go. And of course, the legs are pretty much, both identical in the sense, here's air raid. You just plug that in. There's the pegs and the holes and the tabs and the slots. You just line those up and peg it. Connect all of that. When you do so, these little trap doors will spring shut like they're supposed to. And of course, here's a skydive going, it's doing the same thing. So, and of course, yeah, you can see also, yeah, you can leave the weapons on in their vehicle mode places because, yep, you don't have to remove them if you don't want to, or you can remove them and put them off the side, whatever. And of course, right here, you can take the legs and then just, slide those in and slide that in like that, and hey, now you got legs. So you're gonna go ahead and bring this guy up, bring this up like so, and of course here's a slingshot. Just plug that in. Again, I found it, make sure to absolutely make sure it's really good and squeezed on there, else it's not going to want to split. And then of course split right there, bring that down, this will tab in right there, and bring this part up, and this will tab in and everything. All goes on like that, and then there, like so. And of course, same thing with Fireflight. Just go ahead and tab and peg it all on to the arm, like so. Make sure it's good and solid on there, and then of course split them in half. And I'll tab in down here, like it's supposed to. March tabbing, there we go. And this will tab in right there. And you just, slide that over top right there. And there you go. And that is Age of the Primes Superion. And yeah, overall, he looks pretty darn good. He's a bit wider than you might expect, but he looks pretty good overall. I do have my complaints, not a lot of them, but there's mostly basically regarding the legs. That's where my big complaint lies. But overall, he looks pretty darn good. And again, I have this thing where again, slingshot here does not like to stay. You can see that the vehicle mode does not have to do very specific weird thing to get that to stay in place. It's weird. I have to sit here and it doesn't like to stay in place, to say the least. Whatever. Yeah, generally, he looks really good as a whole. Getting a little closer. You see, of course, his head. This is more the cartoon style head, so you got his, visor thing. You got his faceplate. It's the rounded off dome head. You got the yellow antenna. You got a little Autobot symbol right there. You got a lot of designs which are kind of reminiscent of Silverbolt. Weird, huh? You got his arm. You got the black bits right here. There's some actual little venting bits right here on top. You have the arms, which of course you got the arm pieces with the jets attached right there. You got some red down here. You got mostly grays and reds. Bits of silver right there like that. You got some yellow down here. You got mostly grays, some reds and blacks down here as well. And yeah, you got the jets. Each side you got the Silverbolt backpack right there. You got the jets on the arms. And of course you got the jets on the legs. This is where my biggest complaint is right here. Is look how much that juts out. That's a little ridiculous how much that juts out, and I'm not really a big fan of that. Personally, I kind of wish, and me getting in down here a little bit, yeah, I kind of wish instead, I wish these were a little thinner or something, or had like a cutout right here, so basically these tabbed in further. I wish there was some way to do. I'm not sure exactly what to do considering these door bits. Spring loaded doors, I wish they kind of worked a little bit differently or something. But basically, I wish there's a cutout here so basically these sat in a little maybe to here. So these were sitting a little bit farther. So this wasn't sticking out so much. This is my single biggest complaint about the whole set. It's just simply these leg bots stick out really far in the back, so it looks almost like got like tumors or something. which I'm not really a big fan of. And this I feel is the biggest thing, because this wasn't a problem with Menasor, and you'll see in a little bit in the comparisons, but that wasn't a problem with Menasor because Menasor is made of cars, which are not folded up like crazy. That's my biggest complaint. Is just I wish these kind of sat in. I wish these more or less were further inward so that these didn't stick out as far. I wish there was a way they did it. Like I would have actually straight up sacrificed the little spring-loaded door bit gimmick if maybe integrate them further. I'm not sure how they're going to do Bruticus, but it sounds like Swindle and Brawl are both going to be more of the leg rather than just kind of attaching to the leg. And unfortunately, also, they're going to be $43 a pop unless something changes. That's going to suck. Because now I'm like, well, I'm getting them. I've got Vortex. I'm getting Combaticons. I'm not going to not get the Combaticons. Which kind of sucks. But yeah, we'll talk about that. I'll cross that bridge later. But yeah, just know I'm aware of the price changes, and I'm not totally happy with it. I'm very much not happy with the Voyager ones in particular. The other two, I get. That one, I don't understand. So, but anyway, off topic for now. So, Superion's posability is really good, actually. You got the head is on a bulge, you got left and right, you got up and down, you got lots of waggle. Looks really good right there. Shoulders, of course, ratcheted, go full 360. Both arms, you got ratcheted outward, about out that far, which is nice. You have a bicep sole right here. It's just friction. You got the ratcheted elbow, 90 degrees right there. The wrist can swivel, which is nice. This is friction. And of course, they can also move inward a little bit because of transformation. I'm not sure we can do that, but you might be able to find something. Waist, there is it's just friction, but hey, you got a lot before it starts. The silver bolt bits start banging into things, and of course you can move those a little bit, but I would recommend not doing that. But that's, I think, plenty of swivel before you hit a blockage. Because beyond that, it's gonna start looking weird. But hey, you can do, you can alleviate that by just untabbing if you really want to, but now you have run the risk of, oh, hey, Silverbolt's coming loose. So, there's a thing like that. Of course, the hip skirts here can get out of the way. And you have forward, you have very soft ratchet going forward, like that far. You got going back about that far. You have outward, you have, get that out of the way. You have that much outward. You do have thigh swivel right there, which is just friction. That's unhindered. Knees, you do have almost 90 degrees. The only reason they don't is because that if you move that out of the way, you get a full 90 degrees. So, just be aware of that. So you have to adjust the leg boss slightly to get the full 90 degrees, but it is there. And of course, down here, ankles, you have that much tilt, which is pretty darn good. Technically, also the toe joint. I have a toe joint, but it's going to look weird if you use it. So, I wouldn't personally. And also, because of Silverbolt's ankles, you do have kind of a backwards butterfly joint. Not really a whole lot, but a smidge. I'm not sure if that's going to be helpful for anything, but, it's there in case you ever need it. And of course, you got the guns. You got Silverbolt's gun. You got the big old rifle. You can combine those together like bam. You got the big old rifle thing. And of course, you can, right here, there's a handle. There's a handle. You can unfold that. There's a peg. And of course, that goes into his hand. Like so. You can hold it like a good old rifle. If you like, shoot things. Bam, bam. Plug in a blast effect if you want. Blam. All that stuff. And of course, there's the other thing, which is the more classic thing, which is the arm-mounted bit. If I could get this out of his hand, because again, it's pretty secure in there. You can, of course, fold that back away, and then right here you can see there's that square hole, and there's a square peg thing. You can see where this is going. And again, you just peg that on there right there, and it looks pretty good too. I actually prefer this. And of course, the cool thing, because this hinges right here on this gun, when you fold the arm, it folds with it, so there's no worry about that. You can still use the posability even with the gun attached. That's really clever engineering. That's just really clever because it's really simple. And I always like that. Really clever engineering that's designed to make the playing with the toy as stress-free as possible. You don't have to worry about that stuff. It just works with you. You're not fighting against the toy, and that's one of those things that's like really clever. And I still, of course, really like how they did the arms. I still really like that. The arms I feel like are integrated really well. They feel like they're actually part of the arm. Yeah, there's blocks here, but these feel like they're still part of the arm in a way, versus these just feel like they're just attached to the legs. And that's, I feel like, the biggest problem with this framework system as it is now. It sounds like, again, Bruticus is going to be a bit different from what we're seeing based on the fact that Swindle and Brawl are both going to be Voyagers and stuff. But yeah, overall, the framework thing is like, because has a whole framework versus, you know, traditional combiner thing, but I don't mind this framework thing. Again, I feel like overall this still works. This is generally overall improvement over Legacy Menasor. Overall, again, the only thing is I don't like the legs just because they stick out so far, and that's not so much the engineering so much as they could have adjusted. I feel like to some way the leg bots are a little more integrated comparatively, but you know, kind of hindsight, I guess, and take a lot to fix that now. A lot. But yeah, overall, I think he looks really good. He's also really wide. But yeah, some comparisons. Getting him way back here. Adjusting this a little bit. Some comparisons, of course. CD686 Optimus. I'm going to get him a little spread out. There we go. And you can see that. Quite the size difference, which makes sense. Again, this is kind of in that. I think that's about right. If I recall, Optimus should be. It's one of those things where there's like two different scales. There's multiple scales for combiners in the G1 cartoon, so it makes it a really difficult thing. But generally, Optimus should be right about to their thigh waist level there. So I feel like this is a good scale. So there's that. And here he is compared to, well, kind of bodged together, sort of Superion Combiner Wars. Again, you can tell that's not Superion because, again, like I keep saying, I don't have Combiner Wars Superion, but this is the molds that were used to make Combiner Wars Superion for different characters, so you can see the intent there. The only thing is, yeah, I use basically, hey, look, I don't have Alpha Bravo either, but hey, look, here's what Alpha Bravo would have been, because these two were also the same mold in Combiner Wars, so yeah, I don't have two of this jet, so you get a helicopter, which a lot of people had anyway, because not everyone was able to get Slingshot. But you can see, yeah, that's what Combiner Wars looked like, and or more or less would have been general shapes wise. There is definitely obvious differences, but yeah, you can see he's taller. This is no perfect fit kit. So a lot of people with the perfect fit kit would be kind of more like here, closer to the same height. He feels a lot more stable. This guy is definitely a little wobblier. You can see there's a lot of wobbliness and whatnot. And the posability is that also that thing of the Combiner Wars always had the posability is there, but it's not particularly useful because you try to you actually use it and it just falls right over. Whereas this guy feels solid in like pretty much everything way you can think to pose him. And of course, here's a Legacy Menasor. No upgrade kits because I wasn't really a big fan of DNA's thing of just make it legs longer, makes it look weird. Which people are like, oh, it looks better proportioned. Like, no, it doesn't look lanky now, but whatever. There you go. There are head to head. I think head to head Superion might be a smidge taller, which is interesting. But you can see head to head, they have, the same basic framework system and everything, and it looks really good. And dead end's coming off right there. There we go. Yeah, looks really good. Again, as I showed off in the Silverbolt video, the limbs are interchangeable, completely interchangeable. Yeah, you have to pull the whole limb off, not just the bot. So you have to pull the whole limb piece off, particularly down here. And if you're going to swap the legs, you have to swap both legs because otherwise you'll have the combiners sitting lopsided. But you can swap the arms and everything. Everything right there all works like that, as you'd expect like there. So it's a pseudo Scramble City thing. It's not quite full Scramble City, but it's got some Scramble City elements. So there you go. I already showed that off in the Silverbolt video. I'm not going to sit here and do it again, but yeah, that is Combiner Wars. Or no, wow, that is Age of the Primes Superion. It's great. I think this is a really good. They took Superion and actually made him kind of exciting because I always found Superion kind of be a little bit boring. The Aerialbots have always been a little bit boring for me, honestly. Menasor is the one that's like he should be cool but isn't. Or often isn't because he always looks a little weird, particularly if you try to imitate the cartoon a little too hard, like most third parties do. If you imitate the cartoon a little too hard, he kind of looks kind of bad. Superion's always been kind of just he exists, I guess, but design wise has always been a little boring. I feel like they made him finally kind of exciting in a way. Again, my biggest problem is simply the legs. I wish the leg bots were integrated much more nicely, or how am I trying to, much more, they're better integrated just because as it stands, again, they stick out really far and they have to, because if you can leave these like the jet nose cones up, somewhat, but the problem is like, well, the heads are in the way a little bit, and also they'll get in the way of articulation, so there is that. But yeah, just simply, they just stick out a lot. And yeah, you don't have to leave the weapons on these guys. You can remove them if you want. You can peg them on somewhat different places and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it's just, I feel like this guy's stable. He's stable. I can plant him down. He'll sit there. He can pose and not like just topple right over. The ratchets are dead solid. And he looks really good overall. He just looks really good. He's just a good, fairly decent, he's a fairly good Superion as a whole. There is no real, the only thing is if you really just hate framework combiners, which yeah, I get it. I don't really like frame combiners that much either, but with this guy at the very least, my biggest problem is always simply a frame that doesn't do anything except be a frame. And this guy, again, it's not as good as Menosaur's framework in that regard, but again, the framework does stuff, attaches to Silverbolt to become a kind of goofy looking super jet, which I personally think is fun. It's fun in the it's just so stupid and I love it type of way. And it does try to be some sort of a gun emplacement or whatever you want to call it for the robot mode, but and be the combined mode framework, so that does something at the very least. That's my thing, is like at least attempt to make it do something when it's not in the combined mode, and I'm more willing to forgive it. And that's what they did here. That's what Hasbro seems to be doing in general. It's just they're making it so these frameworks at least do things and they transform, rather than, oh, here's just a big old block of framework that just sits off to the side, like a lot of the third parties did for a while, until they started kind of catching on that maybe we can do something more with this stuff. But I think he's just good. He's just really good. I'm babbling a lot, but I just think he's really fun. He's a really fun figure. He's, yeah, the other thing is just simply, of course, just like Menosaur, the arm bots are, remolds of each other. The leg bots are remolds of each other. But it does feel like they took a lot what they learned from Menosaur and kind of improved a little bit. And so I'm really looking forward to Bruticus now. Yeah, even though some parts of Bruticus are definitely going to be way overpriced now, unfortunately, I'm still looking forward to it because, one, it's Bruticus, and two, I'm looking forward to see what they did to make it even better. And it sounds like they already learned one lesson, which is better integrate the leg bots into the framework. So yeah, it's just every single combiner seems like Hasbro and Takara are getting a little bit better about this with this whole framework thing, and so I'm really liking this as a whole. And yeah, I'm babbling enough, but this is Superion, I think, is worth it. It's for the first time, I feel like for the first time I got a good Superion where all the elements are pretty decent in their own right, and not like, say, the other Superion I have, which is 3/5 of it is kind of bleh. The Zeta Legends Superion I have. But I think overall this guy is really solid, and I like it, and I think it's worth it. And yeah, because it was it 90, 25, 20, $190 plus tax and shipping or whatever. So I think it's, again, combiners are always that weird thing of like, if you look at just pure height, combiners always have our bad value proposition, but this guy's really good. And I'm going to stop talking now. It's good. Pick him up if you haven't already. If you can, try to get all these 5 of these guys. He's worth it. He's great. I love it a lot as a whole. And overall, again, just my only complaint really being the leg bots should have been integrated. Leg bots should have been integrated better, but there you go. So that's it for this review. I hope you found it informative and entertaining. Hope you like, comment, subscribe. Check out my social media. It's down in the description and at the end of the video. Check out my Ko-fi and my Patreon. I shall see you next time with another video review.